सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। वसुदेवं सुतं देवं कंसचानूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। मूकं करोति वाचालं अंगुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। Hari Om. Hari Om. Yes, we are now continuing our journey into the Gita. If anybody can recollect, what is it that we saw last? Yes, please. A link has to be established. So yesterday we saw about the fourth adhyay. Yes, please, Srinivasti.
Yesterday, Krishna told Arjuna that that is what we studied, that we have the divine potential within all of us, and the knowledge of it he has passed on to the son, then Vishwahu, then Manu, and ultimately to man. And there is a transmission loss while this knowledge was passed on.
Ji. So that there was a loss in transmission.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, Srinivasti. Yes, anybody would like to continue what Srinivasti said?
And Krishna was telling that what I told to son, I am going to tell it to you.
Okay, I'm going to reveal that secret, which
I'm going to reveal that secret to you. But Arjuna and it was like we also, heard that he could have told the Vyas also directly. Like there was no point, but he chose Arjuna because he was the special one, his Sakha.
Sakha, right? Yes.
The Mitra. And in that Maitri Bhav, he wanted to reveal that secret, divine secret to Arjuna. But and we also discussed about the avatars, the Dashavatars, to see the transmission of how this everything evolved. But Arjuna was in a denial, like he was like, why would he do that? Why would Krishna tell me that? And like, no, I don't believe you.
More than why, it was like, Krishna, how do you expect? Yes, please.
How do I comprehend? Yeah, how do I comprehend?
All right. Yes, Deepti ji.
No. How do I comprehend what you're going to say?
So Arjun was not able to comprehend how can Krishna had given this knowledge to son.
Yes.
Because son is so old and Krishna is just born. So how is it possible?
Yes.
So Krishna said, even you and me have so many janams and you have forgotten, but I remember all.
Okay.
That is the difference.
The difference between Krishna and Arjuna is that Krishna is conscious of his births. Arjuna is not.
Arjuna is forgotten.
Maybe if Arjuna, Dr. Poonamji, if Arjuna becomes conscious, will he be accessing Krishna's consciousness then?
I don't think so.
Maybe
because there is always be a difference.
Between
Krishna is residing inside us, but what is Krishna and what is residing? Maybe
difference.
There may be a little difference.
Okay, Poonamji feels that. All right. Yes, all right.
Krishna is a special charioteer. He's a special. He's not a normal person.
No comparison, no equal. Nobody can be like.
Always riding the chariot. Riding the chariot, but he's the one who's directing it.
Okay, but maybe Arjuna in some kind of heightened mode of consciousness, definitely, if he got that smriti. All right. So yes, that was one thing. And again, it was very beautiful that look at how Arjuna is chosen, not because of his intellectual prowess. Sakheti bhaktosi, he says, you are my bhakta, you are my sakha. Earlier also we saw in the last adhyay how mind is also a limited field. It has a domain with a limited capacity. One is the Indriyanam Paranyahur Indriyabhya Param Manah Manasastu Para Buddhi Yo Buddhi Paratastu Saha. So there's that highest supreme is higher than all of this. And that is why the logic of the mind sometimes has to be let go. And Prabhu ko niyam badalte dekha is what Anup Jalota has sung in his bhajan. Meaning, these are the rules which mind sometimes confines itself to the logic. Even Vedanta talks about Brahma Vidya. That kingdom comes higher than logic. It is something higher. And Krishna is saying, I'm giving it to you. But Arjuna's logic says, no. Hey, I have said Shishyastayam. That does not mean you will tell anything and I will listen to anything. Krishna, I don't believe you. How is it? How is it I can comprehend what you are saying? You went back in time. So this was Krishna's reply, perfectly quoted by Dr. Poonamji. Then he says, see, I am imperishable, I am birthless, yet into this Shara Vishwa. We have not seen much about this Vishwa yet, but I have entered into this world, Krishna says. I have entered into my Maya's existence. The Maya that I created, I entered into it, is what he says. And then comes the very famous shloka we saw, the avatarhood, the concept of avatarhood. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. So at all these times when righteousness is at its wane, when my avatar comes, it comes. Why does it come? Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya ch dushkritam dharma sansthapanarthaya. So again, for re-establishing dharma. Now if dharma is sanatan, why does it need to be re-established is the next question. Yes, why does the avatar also have to re-establish? Anybody can probably guess, or what do you think could be the reason? Avatar, is it just every time it has to just come and go in a cycle? What is the purpose? Is the avatar also trapped in the cycle of Punarapi Janma, Punarapi Marana, which we say for human beings then? Yes, please. And yes, Meranji.
Because people forget to follow dharma.
Okay.
And therefore God has to come back again and again to teach us.
Okay. Milanji says somehow, though there is dharma is sanatan, it is the people who keep forgetting. They forget their roots every now and then. After a while, probably this is the nature. Later on, we will see this is the human nature. We kind of forget. We have this tendency to forget, and then we go to reconnect. We have to reconnect to our roots. Something like that. Glanir bhavati bharata. So there's a glani. There's this some kind of what we can say, a sort of an involution taking place before the evolution has to take place. And we saw that the avatarhood also was systematic. If we look at it from our modern logical perspective also, we see that yes, from the Matsya to all the avatars one after the other, we saw them. We saw that there is a slight gradation, a change in consciousness, a slight change in the paradigm. What was first aquatic moved on to the amphibious to terrestrial to half man, half human, then dwarf man, prototype of man, then he-man, then perfected man, then what Krishna can be called a super man, something higher, beyond the mind. Then Buddha has talked about this extinction of human being, direct going into that highest consciousness. That is the will. Human will and power can directly connect also is what Buddha taught us. And then after him is now, we're waiting, Kalki Avatar. Many assumptions are there, but I think until it comes, we will not know. We will not know until we're there. Srinivas, wants to add something? Yes, please.
Sushilji, I have a question.
Okay.
Now, we see that avatar are taken to set the things right.
Yeah.
Whenever the society or this world goes astray,
yes,
God has to take birth.
Yeah.
All these births that we are seeing, starting from Matsya. So was that for the setting of the dharma? Because that time there was no question of the world going away from the
dharma. What is dharma? The dharma that we understand, Srinivasi, the dharma that we understand, its dharma is a kind of a way, the way for living. When you see every individual is having a dharma, well, this avatarhood, if you look at it, it has brought a paradigm shift, a shift in the consciousness from this type of life. So this, if you look at the symbolism, otherwise they may ask, how is it, what was the fish doing, or how did the board come and do that? Yes?
Right.
Ji. So we look at we're looking more at the parable of the evolution. What is the symbolism behind it? If you can look at that. There's a shift taking place, one after the other. And if we look at according to our common science also, well, there was first only aquatic life. So then nobody knew that there's a dharma on the earth also. Prithvi towards dharma. The movement started from aquatic life. But then again, this change, some intervention. An intervention takes place only at after the darkest night is what is visible. But when this takes place, it is a decisive and direct intervention. This direct intervention brings about a great transformation, one direct action of the divine. It happens at a particular time whenever that is conducive, when the ground is ready. Probably we can actually create that ground. We can make that ground for the manifestation as well. If we are ready, is one thing we can draw. One more, yes, I think Srinathji, can I go ahead?
Excuse me. I feel what I heard about these avataras, as you said, one is for this in protecting Dharma, other one is, as you said, whenever it is required.
Yeah.
For example, Matsya is for protecting Vedas. So, 4 Vedas were being taken by this thing called Hiranyaksha. He just got protected. So, that avatar is for that. And Kurma is to protect Devas from Asuras. And Nrsimha is for Prahladas. So, each one has got that significance.
Yes, Kaitri. And what we are looking more of is just the symbolism. We are looking at it in terms of our perspective. Just in the Gita, they have not talked about the Dashavatars, of course. Krishna is talking about the avatarhood. The reason for the avatarhood, the purpose of the avatarhood is for bringing about a shift and a paradigm shift. So we do not know what is the next avatar, how it's going to be. Kalki avatar, is it going to be a single avatar? Is it going to be a dual avatar? Is it going to be multiple manifestations in different places? There are assumptions, like we said, Kalki is going to arrive on the horse and all those things. Yes, but let us see, we will know. Our Shastras will be written when Kalki arrives. Newer Shastras will appear after Kalki's arrival, of course. So, yes, we saw this. And then one more thing Krishna talks about, Janma Karma Chame Divyam. This aspect, my knowledge of my divine birth, my divine work in the world itself is a sufficient knowledge to liberate oneself, to liberate one from this bondage of again and again, these patterns that we get trapped to in life, a pattern of ignorance, to get liberated from that. Krishna says, even my knowledge, Janma Karma Chame Divyam, this knowledge of my existence in the my existence in this Srishti, my presence itself is sufficient. And this is sometimes it is really brilliant when you are when you get that experience, when you become conscious, and very rare it is that experience also of being able to understand. I think we will see later on the Gita, Dr. Poonamji said what will happen is maybe we will begin to see divine everywhere. Vasudevam Sarvamiti, that's a very rare experience. Sri Aurobindo got it in the jail, the prison, when he was going to be hanged. A false case was being foisted upon him, and suddenly he saw Vasudeva in the jailer also, in the warden also, he called misused bodies of other criminals. Not all were freedom fighters like him. There were other petty criminals also in the same prison. He was given the toughest of confinements. But that time also, he suddenly saw, he said even in the bars, he could see Vasudevan in the blanket which was given to him, like it was a rug actually, it was given to him as a blanket for to sleep, and he felt it was Vasudeva who was hugging him, and suddenly that fear inside of him completely disappeared. I would not say he had fear, but whatever, in my perspective, I'm just saying whatever thoughts were there or worry was there, because there was this worry of what will he do for the motherland. His aim was only that. And then he got that experience, then he got the Adesh, then he got the dialogue, then he got the experience of various Shastras. Somebody who had never studied any Shastra. His father he had studied the Shastras, of course, but not all of it. His father had ensured he lived in the UK, disconnected from the roots of India. His father did not want him to have anything connected with this, but the Janma is there for a purpose, and once the Atman identifies that Janma's purpose, that is all. No force can stop. That is exactly what happened, and then story of Sri Aurobindo, we all know how the revolutionary became the Mahayogi afterwards. So this is again inside of the present. It's possible, this experience. And this experience is something which actually, as today also we got a beautiful example by Rajshriji about how she was at the Philadelphia station, if I'm not mistaken. There she started remembering the divine, and even if she was all alone, she suddenly lost fear, because this fear and all comes sometimes out of ignorance. Sometimes we are not conscious. That time we are fearful, and suddenly for her, Krishna only appeared for her. Krishna took her across, is what she has shared to us today. So let us see. 10th one, what the next shloka? 1. Vitaraga bhavakrodha manmaya mam upashritaha bahavo jnana tapasa uta madbhava magataha. Thus exempted from attachment, fear and anger with their minds, seeking refuge in my shelter, such men of knowledge who have performed penance in divinizing life, they have been able to advance. So those who have taken, that is why the importance of Sharanagati is there. Sharanagati in the divine, not surrender to the enemy. There's a difference between Arjuna's surrender and surrender to the divine. Arjuna was planning to surrender to the Kauravas. If he surrendered, nothing good would happen to the Kauravas, would actually slay him, kill him, make the worst out of him. But when he takes a Sharan to Krishna, it is a Sharan to a Guru. However, what has he done? He has surrendered to the divine. And here, what will the Guru take from Arjuna? What is Krishna going to receive from Arjuna? He has everything. He is not going to get anything. Instead, he is probably going to be a catalyst, and Arjuna's transformation will take place. But in that process, there will be no fear, there will be no attachment, there is not going to be anger. All these things will fall apart. That is why people say even great elders sometimes come and go to different yogis. Why do they do that? They do that because they want to let go of their own all the other unnecessary things inside of their head, which are preventing them from realization. And the naman is sometimes naman. Mind should go away. We don't want the mind. Mind only is creating the interference many times because of its limitation, because of its ahankar. So that aspect, the symbolic act of touching our elders' feet, which is there in our parampara, is also because yes, we will, when we see an elder, somebody we go and touch their feet out of respect, and also yes, this person has this much experience. May I learn something from this, or may the divinity inside of that person manifest. At least sometimes people don't behave like elders also, but still let the divinity manifest. Let me learn something. That bhava is there. Sometimes the bhava can also bring about a divinity in the other person as well, just as much as in the receiver. So namaha, namaste. What meaning of that is only we greet everybody with namaste, because we recognize that there is this divine individual inside every single one of us. Maybe recognize that. Maybe we recognize that in the person in front. So this is the aspect, and Krishna is saying this, that such people who have taken the shelter, who've taken refuge, they have been able to get rid of their anger, get rid of their fear and their attachment also, and their life they have been able to divinize it. Life also can become divine. Sri Aurobindo has written about it, the life divine. Well, yes, it is possible. The first basic action for that is surrender to the divine. Then next the next shloka, the 11th one. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tanstathaiva bhajamyaham mama vartamanu vartante manushyaha partha sarvashah. Whichever form of mind my devotees expect, their ardent prayers towards me I accept. Seekers of my path walk in so many ways. O Arjuna, in search of me all men tread always. So Krishna says, whichever form of mine, whatever may be the form, whatever my devotees expect, their prayers I always accept. So Krishna says, I don't mind which form you seek. You say Krishna, you say, no, I don't like Krishna. I like, there was Tukaram's wife. She did not like Vittala. She said, no, I don't like him. He's dark, he's like this, he's like that. I don't like him at all. I'll worship somebody else. I don't worship Vittala. But it's all right. Krishna doesn't mind. Just at least surrender to the one you recognize, surrender to your own Ishta Daivat. Nobody is forcing you. That is also a beauty in our Sanatana Dharma. We have so many Daivats, we can actually choose our own Ishta Daivat. Who connects, which form connects to us? Some of us love Ganesha, and some say, no, I don't like Ganesha. For me, I feel I like Sri Rama, I like Sri Krishna, I like Parshurama. You are fine, you are free. This freedom is there. And again, we know that it is one truth. It is one only. Eko ham bahusyami, in that consciousness. One consciousness has taken form, so many different forms. And Krishna says, it's okay. He says, whichever form, I accept it, he says. Seekers of my path walk in so many ways. Oh Arjuna, in search of me, all men tread always. So ultimately, people walk in so many paths across the world also. They do not know, probably they are seeking Krishna only. Krishna as in the Krishna that we recognize, or Krishna is referring to his own Paramatman consciousness. They are seeking it without their knowledge. but they are all walking on that same path. Sometimes atheists are also walking in search of God. They don't realize that the God is not there because they have experienced disappointment in their question of God. But somehow or the other, slowly, slowly, that journey is there taking place only. Everybody is walking in so many ways, Krishna says. Let's go on further. But before that, one question comes to mind. If Krishna says he does not mind which form he is worshipped, can we mind? Can we mind it? Oh, no, 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 you cannot worship this God. You have to worship this person like this way only. Can we do that? Can we go and tell somebody you are worshipping a false God?
No, we cannot.
We cannot because logically, one is because, see, if Krishna is also not one having a problem, we should not have. Second one will become more clear in the later part of the Gita is because, you see, everybody has their Shraddha. And that is the core essence of that individual. It's like suddenly somebody pulls out your own spinal cord, what's going to happen? Or your vertebral column, which is keeping you standing. You will not be, your existence is not possible. So we don't have the right to break anybody's Shraddha. When Krishna himself, the divine, says, I don't mind, worship me. Say you don't like my form. Say I have two forms, but two horns. Krishna will not say any problem. He says, fine, have your bhakti. Your bhakti is going to help you. It's not for me. I am not having for some kind of social media account where I'm gathering followers and I'm going to show people I have these many followers. Your consciousness must rise, and for your rise, surrender is required. But surrender to the divine that you seek is what Krishna says. There is no rigidity here. Then he goes on. Kangshantaha karmanam siddhim yajanta iha devataha kshetram hi manushe loke siddhir bhavati karmaja. The mortals, to fulfill their works of desire, sacrifice to various demigods whom they admire. Because these actions bear fruition quickly in the human realm, the results manifest easily. So Krishna is saying that. So many, when they worship too, they say karmanye vadika aste mam phaleshu kadachana. So when karma, phala is not required. But when prarthana, they feel no, phala is allowed. We should seek desires. And then they have this exchange rate also. This God listens more quickly. So go and worship to this God. This is some of them. They want their desires. They have certain desires. So with that, they sacrifice to various demigods. They admire. Oh, look at Kubera. Look at Lakshmi. Why are you worshipping Ma Saraswati? You don't want too much of wisdom. Is bad for health. Instead, ask for wealth. Don't go after all of this. A lot of people have different perspectives. It's all right. That is, everybody is entitled to their perspectives. But your perspective leads to karmas, and karmas lead to karma bandhanas. That thing we cannot escape. It is for everyone. But because why do they do this? Because these actions sometimes bear fruit quickly, and in human dream, the results manifest easily. So sometimes seeking these things immediately, the results are got. Now let us see what. Like I remember in school, I had a friend who would pray to God before exams. One particular temple only he would visit before the exams, and he would go with two coconuts. If I get good marks, I will. His after the exam, he would first go and make a prayer. Give me good marks, and I'll give you two coconuts. I will give it, and that was some kind of standard exchange rate for good marks in exam. And now that time we were quite young. We didn't really know what to tell him, but somewhere we said, this is silly, this is very silly. But then he would get good marks in the exam. And some of us started wondering, does this God really like coconuts? And is this going to ensure? So why not let I also start giving two coconuts is what it was as if a feeling that, this God listens quickly, so better give that. So this is an approach. So I would not say it was good. We did not try to stop him because now in the Gita we learn. No need to try to break anybody's, unless it becomes a dharma to fight against injustice. Until then, until that moment is there, you can allow people to live in their understanding. When the change has to come, it will, unless it comes in between your way. Like in Arjuna's place, he had to stand up. But till then, so here Krishna is saying this is the perspective of many. They feel it is good, worship to this God. Businessmen go and give particular devatas, you give this much lakhs, you will get a successful deal of these many crores. So they go and give donations for that reason. We don't know who is there sitting in the auditing for the divine and who is going to give this kind of a good exchange rate. But let people go, people have their choices also when they look at the divine. Krishna goes on further. Now we see the introduction of something. What is the Chaturvarnya? This will be explained in detail in the 18th adhyay. Right now, let us see. Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam guna karma vibhagashah tasya kartaram apimam vidhi akartaram avyayam. I created the fourfold system of order on the basis of qualities, activities, and order. It is I who gave the fourfold law of sanction. Imperishable I am. Yet I detachedly perform my action. He says, I created a Chaturvarnya. What is Chaturvarnya? It's going to be explained in 18th Adhyay. So we will see that there are these four Varnas, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. These are going to be explained later on. What is its significance? Krishna says, I created this fourfold system. I think modern days also we have division of labor. In modern times, each person will do work according to that person's capacity or understanding. Something of that sort, it was exactly like that because it was based on the qualities of the individual. It was based on the activity. It was based on the swabhava of the individual. Nowhere do we see the word birth. Birth has not been mentioned here. But a lot of birth nature, somebody ate of the nature and made it birth only and mandatory. And so that was not there in the Gita, at least so far we have not come. When we see in the end, we will see if anytime Krishna gives importance to birth, or is he talking about Swabhava only every time? He says, I give that law sanction. He says, I am imperishable, yet I am performing my karmas. Then he goes on. Namam karmani limpanti, name karma phale spruha, iti mam yo vijanati, karma bhirna sabadhyate. I cannot be chained or bound by actions, nor any fruitive aspirations. He who knows this and understands in the entanglement of works, he never lands. Krishna says, see, I cannot be chained, I cannot be trapped by the actions. I am like that. And I cannot be lured by these. It's like we cannot say Krishna, cannot bribe Krishna with some kind of promise. A lot of people, when they have prayers there, it's almost like that. Give me this, I will give you this in return. It is not like that. And Krishna says that, see, I cannot be bound. I am free. I am this complete free individual. I am the complete being already. So nothing can be added to me, nothing can be removed from me. And he says, anybody who understands this probably will want to access Krishna's consciousness in their life only, will want to be that way. Krishna says that person who understands this will never get trapped in the entanglement of works. What is this meaning of this? Not getting entangled in the. What are these entanglements of works? Can anybody tell me something about this? What are the work entanglements which Krishna is, what is this? In works, when you do your works, how do you get entangled? Anybody?
Thinking that I'm the doer or I'm getting attached to the fruits of action.
Okay. Okay. So basically, we are the doer, means we are supreme. But what is any example of an entanglement, Milanji? Or if Saritaji wants to add? Anybody? Yes, please.
So involvement with the work.
Yeah, an example, a practical example of like how, where, when.
In office, we'll think, no, if we are not there for a day or a week, we think everything will fall off.
Okay.
It is not the case.
It's not the case.
Everything and everybody is indispensable in the world.
Yes. So if our own importance, sometimes we give extra importance to ourselves, and that gives us, we get entangled in it. Sometimes organizations, plan to entangle their employees so they never get leave the organization. I remember when I was in college, one particular company was offering for the software company you would join, and if the husband and wife are from the same company, they would get one Maruti 800. That was the way, and then different ways. Sometimes desires come into picture. Now, at a very young age, why would anybody want to know about all of this? But now, because of Maruti 800, if somebody got married just because of that, what would happen? Because later on, newer vehicles have come into the market. So this is an entanglement. Sometimes attachments, desires take us away from the truth. What is it we want in a career? What is it that we want to do in life? If our mission is clear, we can never deviate from the duty. But like this, there are so many things which people can get lured easily. But when they understand the higher truth, they're not going to be just driven by desires. When they are not driven, they will not be. Savitri wants to add something. Yes, please.
Suppose I am preparing for myself for an IS examination.
Okay.
So I have to give my full, work hard full. After that, what will be the result? Just let it go. That may be I should not be entangled.
Yeah. G. Okay, Savitri ji. Yes, and sometimes people get so they define themselves by the outcome of their exams. And exams are so competitive that sometimes even the wisest today, Einstein also might have difficulty clearing many exams in India. That is the competitive nature there. But then if somebody defines themselves only by that, only by the outcome, and that becomes they are too attached to it, then they get broken. They lose their own emotional, physical wellness. All of it is lost. So this aspect, not attaching ourselves to the results, it is all right. It is all right. No problem. This kind of entanglement is not there. Then you can actually do your work much better without the additional burden that comes because of entanglements. And these entanglements cannot be solved. It's like a knot which is only going to become more and more if you try to get involved further into it. Instead, if you can be out, it is very much easy, and it's like you will be insulated from a lot of things. And Krishna is saying that. See, the wise ones, they understand that, and they also don't get trapped unnecessarily. They will not enter into this. It is not. They will not say, "Ah, bel mujhe bar." They will not want some direct invite trouble into their life because they understand it. I don't want to get into that circle again. Then Krishna goes on, Evam gnatva kritam karma purvairapi mumukshubhihi kuru karmaiva tasmatvam purvaihi purvataram kritam. The ancient wise ones who were liberated, imbibing this knowledge, they operated. Therefore, you too, all your works perform, adopting the ancients' practice as your norm. So these great mumukshus of the ancient times, these are liberated ones, these advanced spiritual tapasvis, these great ones, they also operated with this principle of detachment. They did all their works knowing consciously not that I don't want to get entanglement. I don't want to get entangled into these karma bandhanas. I'll do it for the sake of the karma, not for anything else, not for the fruit that comes out of it. And these were the wise ones. Krishna is talking about the ancient ones at that time. Ancient at that time means for us very, very ancient. But even then they understood this. This is a high secret. Yes, we have seen already. What is the motivation if not the fruit? Why not have a simple Loka Sangraha as a beautiful, endless motivation, endless inspiration? You are not driven by a particular fruit because sometimes when the fruit comes in hand, you don't really know what to do with it, what next, and then you go in search of some other fruit, and that time it's not always the right thing, and then you always get into that circle. You're pursuing happiness. Happiness cannot be pursued. You stay in one place, happiness can surround you, happiness can envelop you, you can experience ananda. Life can become that way, but if you go running around, happiness is just waiting for you to stop, but you are all busy searching and running after happiness. So our Sanatan Dharma does not say we have the right pursuit of happiness. Our Sanatan Dharma says happiness is you. You are Ananda. Just stand in one place, don't go running after it. You will experience it, is what he says, in your deeds, in your actions, in your thoughts. He goes on further.
Like the kasturi.
Yes.
I think the kasturi here and there.
Yes. Kasturi's fragrance. Where else can you find the fragrance? Why do you need to go searching elsewhere? Sometimes there are great bhaktas who say even God does not know the experience of bhakti that a bhakta experiences. God cannot experience that. What is the experience of a human being? The perspective. It's like Kamodini Kaya Zhane Parimala. It's a Marathi. Lotus does not know what the Brahmar knows. So they say, God, you don't know what it is. So we will be born again and again and we will engage in bhakti to you. You will not understand what it is to have this human experience, which is limited. You are infinite. What will you understand? That is the question, which is not wrong also. So let us continue. Krishna goes on. Kim karma kim akarteti. So kim karma kim akarmeti. Kavayopyatra mohitaha tatte karma pravakshami yajnatva moksha se shubhat. What is this kim? What is this karma? What is our karma? Even the greatest kavis are perplexed. Kavi does not imply poets. Kavi is those seers, those Vedic kavis. the Vedanta, and they speak about it, but they are also confused. Krishna is saying, what is action? What is inaction? Even the wisest seers are thus perplexed. I shall hand you that riddle's explanation, that knowledge by which all bondages are shed. I will give you that riddle. I'll answer that puzzle of karma and akarma. And this knowledge which will help you get free is what Krishna is saying. Because we do not know what are our karmic consequences of our words, of our works, of our deeds. Many times we just see on the surface. We don't know sometimes why are we experiencing. We get this question also. We do not really know. This is something. Karma is a very deep concept. It's a flux wise what it is. It can be called like that because so many permutations and combinations. We do not know what's happening. Well, Krishna says here. He says you must understand there is something called karma, there's something called akarma, there's also something called vikarma. I'll explain to you is what Krishna is saying. Karmano yapi bodhavyam cha vikarmanaha akarmanascha bodhavyam gahana karmano gati. This is a beautiful gahana karmano gati. Like a forest, karma is like a dense forest. We do not realize it also. This one little experience, I am not realizing it's becoming unconscious, and what is the consequence of being unconscious that I've experienced many times. But one particular time, which is very pronounced, was when I was very young. Normally, you think you are young, you are a kid, you are allowed everything, innocent. Your karma is all excused. The divine also does not mind. But I had no idea there was this friend I would tease in the campus where we grew up. Now, this friend was not, I was not the only one who was teasing him. Everybody would tease him and he would take it sportingly. So we all knew that and we could joke around with him. It was all normal. But I never knew that he had exception to me teasing him for some reason, that I should not do it. And this he had been carrying inside him for many, many years. I didn't have the slightest clue. In my mind, he's my best friend, he's a good friend. And suddenly, once I happened to meet him, I met him somewhere along with other friends. It was strange that day. He was actually not in his very good conscious state. He was having some, what we can say, banned substance. I was surprised knowing that he's taking that. But somebody told me, do you want to meet him? He is there. I was like, yes, I would like to meet my friend. I just went there and then suddenly he started. He was a little bit in a different state of mind and he just saw me and he started, you. I was like, what happened? What did I do? I said, hi. And, no, you are evil. I know you are evil. And I was like, okay, what happened? And then he started that he had this bad feeling about me for a very long time. And suddenly he asked me, what is your problem if I turn on the AC when it is raining? I was surprised. This was a dialogue I had passed on to some other friend once. Look, it is raining. This person is still putting on the AC inside of his house. What's he doing? Is he like, what is wrong with him? I had joked with one more friend. But this dialogue, which was passed on to somebody else, has reached him. And then I understood that person was playing the role of Shakuni Mama. Every joke I had planted, it was going to him in an elevated way. And this person was having a great hatred for me. And that was when I thought, fine, now let's get detached. Let's not get into the logic of whether I said this or I did not say. He is angry, he is disappointed, everything. I went and actually apologized to him. And he broke down in tears. I didn't even understand why that was happening. Then he came to hug me, and I was also hugging inside. I was laughing. What have I done? Why is all of this happening? But at least somewhere that was that hatred. It would have been carried for many, many years, and I did not even know it was happening. So my shabda, which I am using one place, can have an effect elsewhere, and it can have such a strong effect. That person is a doctor, he's a psychiatrist, and now if he is having this trouble because of me, I was thinking, we do not know how many times what actions we have done. That is why yogis are always engaging in purification, because sometimes they just want to speak exactly what is required, how much is required, do what is required, do not do extra what is more than required. This austerity of karma, austerity of shabda, austerity of chintan, all these things are part of a tapasya that people do. And Krishna says this is a very deep flux. We need to understand that. Understand one must what is right action and what is the action that is considered wrong. And also one must know what is considered to be inaction and the deep nature to which the way of works belong. One must understand the deep nature to which the way of works belong. For example, there are some karmas which give us immediate fruits. Some karmas give us fruits a little later on, and sometimes we are bearing the fruits of God knows which karma we have done. This is a big question we sometimes, what did I do wrong? Why am I getting this experience? Well, that is the deep nature of karma. For instance, if I go to the street, I go and slap the first person I see, what's going to happen? I'll get instant karma. That person is going to slap me back. So this is a karma which is giving me immediate karma phala. I'm experiencing it right away. Then there are certain karmas like children preparing for exams. They write for the exams. Results don't come out immediately. I remember parents would ask, how was your exam? It went very well, very nice after the exam. This is good as long as the results don't come, so we can happily experience that till the day the result comes out. When the result comes out, my karma phala is in front of me. I cannot escape it. So this is like that. There are right actions, there are wrong actions. There's something called akarma also. All these are very deep flux. Krishna says we must try to understand it. We must become conscious. He goes on, karmanya karma yaha pashyad akarmani cha karma yaha sa buddhiman manusheshu sa yukta krishna karma krut. So he who while performing action sees in action, and even in inactivity, he who perceives a latent action, know him to be the man of the illumined mind, and his actions transcendently benefit all of mankind. So again, in that sthiti, when you are in that high sthiti where you are not in this flux of karma, you are operating in one step higher, where that time you will be able to see inaction also when action is going on, where action is taking place. That time you are actually, it may appear you are not doing the action, but the action is taking place by you are initiating certain works at that time. And these little works bring about a great transcendental benefit. They can benefit mankind also. The mother of Sri Aurobindo Ashram had actually said, if at all the French Revolution took place, it was because there was a man on Indian snows meditating upon liberty, equality, and fraternity. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Why these thoughts of yogis are received somewhere else. Somebody's thoughts somewhere they emanate. It's like transmitted from one place. Somebody's sadhana leads to some other action somewhere else. That takes a domino effect, brings about manifestation elsewhere. So this aspect, somebody who can see this while performing action, seeing in action, and in inactivity also. This happens sometimes in even the corporate world. New interns, they get very excited with their works, and they see this person is doing nothing. Look at that. That manager does nothing. We are the ones who are doing all the hard work. He's taking all the credit. And because on the surface it looks like they are doing everything, and the manager is looking, just sitting on his seat. He does a little bit of work, but otherwise he's just looking around what people are doing. But then with experience, they understand that it was the manager who has made the entire routine for these people. There he is looking after because of this person only that the client was there and they had work to do. So sometimes it may appear works are not taking place, but work is going to go ahead. Work is going on. It is going behind the scenes. So that is what we can call our karma. Somewhere a person is on the surface, it doesn't look like karma is taking place, but behind the scenes, it is taking place. I remember one person had applied for a particular project, and for nearly 1 year, 1.5 years, the person was pursuing. Proposal was sent, different clarifications were sought, and this person was disappointed. He went to his guide and said, "No, enough. I've had enough of it. I don't want to anymore go after this. It doesn't look like anything is going to come out." And the guide was just like, "It's all right. Don't worry. Just no. I want to quit. I want to quit right away." He said, "Just wait for a few more days. Just for 4 more days, you wait." I said, "What is this? 4 days? What's going to happen? What has not happened in the last 1.5 years?" So this person says, "Fine, anyway, I respect my guide, so I will listen to him. But after 4 days, I'm going to go and tell him, don't make me take 1 more day extra." And immediately on the third day, this person got the proposal, and he was shocked. He was surprised. He was like, because he knew the guide was not directly involved in him getting the proposal. And he was like, "How did you know? How did you know this is going to happen?" And here is a higher wisdom, we can say. He is able to understand. He had his own calculation. Though on the surface things were not there, he could understand that, yes, by this time, this particular moment would have taken place. This will come to fruition at this time. So here we can see again, outside no karma, but inside karma is taking place. Many times in life, we don't realize what our little works are doing. We should just keep on doing our duty without looking at the fruit. The Gautam Buddha also talked about, in Buddhism, there is something called accumulation of virtue. Keep accumulating, slowly. Afterwards, you don't know your pot will be full and it will start overflowing also, and everybody will benefit from that overflowing nectar. You don't have to worry about it. The karma must go on. So this is what Krishna is saying. They can benefit mankind as well, our actions, which are done in that right state, in a detached manner. Krishna clarifies further in the 19th shloka. Yasya sarve samarambhaha kama sankalpa varjitaha jnanagni dagda karmanam tamahuhu panditam buddhaha. He who seeks not any gratification, he whose every activity is without desire, he whose very works are consumed by knowledge's fire, he is declared to be the wisest sage in action. So his knowledge is only driving his every action. He's got that experience, that knowledge, that is driving. The Jnanagni, it is called, the fire of knowledge, because it purifies everything. In that knowledge which he has received, all his actions are done consciously. That person does not need any gratification. He does not need any desire to make him do the action. It's not a desire is not his fuel for doing the action. He's found something higher, something better. He goes on further. Krishna says, "Tyatva karma phala sangam nitya trupto nirashrayah karmanya bhi pravrittopi naiva kinchit karoti saha." When he has given up attachment, desireless and unperturbed, he is the blissful one. That person is Truptatma only. He is somebody who is free, he is blissful. And it is something, it is said, Santosha eva Purushasya Param Nidhanam. Means ultimately it is the highest wealth. And this wealth, sometimes people understand it can be got through paropkar, by giving, by doing, and not by grabbing or taking things. Paropakaratha phalanti vrukshaha, paropakaratha dahanti gavaha, paropakaratha vahanti nadyaha, and paropakaratha idam shariram. So this body is also like that. Not for giving, for grabbing, it's for giving. And that person who is free from all of his desires of accumulating things, that person is actually very peaceful. Many times people say wealth is so important, so they start accumulating wealth. When they accumulate wealth, they are somehow not able to accumulate happiness in spite of accumulating a lot of wealth. Sometimes the person has a very big, beautiful kitchen and beautiful dining table, best cooks, all of it. Yet, despite having so many multiple different type of cuisines, they are not enjoying the taste of the food. Everybody are not on the table and celebrating. But just near just a few colonies away, in a very like a small home where there is no money also, just a ordinary dish which is not going to make anybody overly pleased. But that dish is bringing happiness into the entire household. What is this? Well, that is trupti. Trupti is there. That happiness is there. It can come anywhere. It is not connected with things on the outside. It is connected with something on the inside. Sometimes even 2 minutes spent with someone you like, and they give you trupti for an entire year also. Many times people don't get to see their gurus. Students come and meet them, and just 2 minutes of spending time is sufficient for them to keep it in their smaran at all different times, and that gives them ananda for so many, sometimes for years also. People carry those memories. So this thing is there. That person who has given up attachment, desireless and unperturbed. So one thing is, he is not going to be driven by desires. He'll never be deviated from his path. And unperturbed, he's not going to be disturbed. Nobody can shake him, nobody can break him. That is the person. He is in the state of detachment. He is not the doer, but his works are done. That person is not the doer, but his works are done. What is the meaning of this? Na kinchit karoti saha. Not doing the works, but his works are done. What can this be the meaning? Anybody?
Getting it done by others.
Huh? Yes, Gayatri ji?
Getting it done
Getting it done by whom?
by others.
By others. So he's manipulating others and making them do it. Is it, Gayatri ji?
It's not manipulating. I can say that he's inside everybody and he's getting it done.
Or yes, or we can just say it is, there's a nice Hindi saying, Ram hamara kaam kare, hum baithe aram. Meaning is you recognize the divine is the doer. I am not.
Yes.
Greatest of artists or greatest of musicians. How did you make this composition? I didn't make the composition. Some people get irritated. What he made the composition? He's trying to act over smart or trying to show he's too humble. But it's not the case. The person says, I was trying so hard. When I was trying, it was not working out. One day I just stopped trying. I said, fine, I think I'll have to say I'm not going to be able to complete this project. And that person is fine, and disappointed, goes to sleep, and suddenly in the sleep at around midnight, the person gets a force and he gets up and makes the most beautiful composition. And these compositions are sometimes the most eternal ones. He says, no, it came to me. It came to me when I was sleeping. I did not. When I was consciously doing, I was creating the problem. When I stopped doing, my work was done. This is exactly what is the way of a yogi. He is not the doer, but he becomes the madhyam. He becomes the medium, or he becomes the instrument for a divya karma, for a divine action. And so one of the important aspects for divine works to happen through us is we have to remove our doership, our feeling of ownership over the action as well. And Krishna is saying that person is trupta, he is happy, he is satisfied, he is blissful, and works are done. He did not worry about what's happening. It will happen. What has to? I just have. Yes, Dipiji wants to add something. Yes, please.
For example, sometimes when we cook at home, so sometimes we say, oh, आज तो ढंग से नहीं बनाया फिर भी इतना अच्छा खाना बना.
Okay.
And then sometimes we're putting so much effort, doing all the planning, and it's like, oh, it doesn't taste that great which you're expecting. And sometimes, like, you're doing things, and it is like, it is really, really good.
Okay. Okay.
Then you realize, how did it happen? Like the same thing done in two different states of mind.
The mind,
the results are very, very different.
the state of mind mattered so much, and really, it is there. Cooking is a type of sadhana only. You're irritated in your cooking, you will not realize when extra chili will go inside, extra salt will go inside. Your anger will manifest in the food. Instead, if you have to keep that aside, you have to keep that aside when you are doing it, and move out of it. Become the, for summon the force of Ma Annapurna. May everybody be receive the right food while cooking at that time. And you do that, then people experience that. At this taste, I never got this taste. I got this taste from my mother when I was very young. I've been waiting for that. I never got it, not in the biggest hotels, but this food was like that. So what was it? You did not go and ask that person's mother, give me that secret recipe so I understand how you cook. It happened naturally. It is happening of naturally things can happen when our intrusion is not there. Many poets, when they write poetry, they understand that they are the problem in the poem. When they remove that, their intrusion, that intrusion has to be removed, then the poetry will manifest properly. Otherwise, many of them recorrect their own works. Sri Aurobindo himself, in his state of consciousness, highest writings also, he would keep modifying. This has to express better. I am expressing the divine. And there was something called automatic writing. This he got even before the Adesh. It was very interesting. It was a kind of a yogic siddhi. He would take the pen on paper and they would start writing. And in the revolutionary days, it was a matter of fun also. All the other revolutions would gather around. He would take and he would start writing. And suddenly one revolutionary's name appeared. He is going to make a bomb and he's going to put it on this person. That appeared on this. And this was not in his mind also. And everybody started laughing at what came out. Because there is a state of non-doership also. And that is a state probably when Krishna functions. That is the state when Arjuna is not worried about what is going to happen. Or Arjuna is not the guardian of Sanatana Dharma. He perceives it and that's why he's having all the trouble. If he recognizes and surrenders, maybe he will be free. But let us go on. Let us continue. Nirashir yata chittatma tyakta sarva parigraha shariram kevalam karma kurvannapnoti kilbisham. He desires not for his heart or mind. All desires renounce. His senses in his grip you will find. In his poise, all bodily actions he does really perform. But his actions can cause no sin to take form. This is the Vedantic word defined of the Upanishad. Na karma lipyate nare. This person is not going to be touched by the karmas. Because he desires nothing. Nothing for his own heart, nothing for his own mind. His senses are in his own grip. Indriyas are in his full control. So his actions, body is performing actions, is what it is said. Sharira kevalam karma. Means autopilot mode is on in life for that person. And he is not going to do anything that's going to put him in the wrong state. Yadracha labha santushto dvandvatito vimatsaraha samasiddhava siddhau cha krutvapi na nibadhyate. But whatever good that comes naturally his way, he is contented, thus never envious on any day. Both success and failure he greets with poise. Works don't bind him, for he has transcended choice. So you cannot be bound by the works. These people are there. whatever is coming naturally, that person is celebrating, joyful about it, always happy, never jealous. Jealousy cannot enter into such a person who is in that state of happiness. It's all right. Let survive Bhavan Sukhina. I'm happy. Let that person know. Okay, he's got more successful. Good for him. That's not creating. Why is he more successful than me? His jealousy is also not there. Success and failure both are greeted with poise. It's like, yes, it's all right. Success is coming. Good. Nice to know. Failure, all right, it was not good, but it's okay. It is also a part of life. I accept it with balance. The balance is not lost, and this person cannot be bound by works. Many times people are bound by certain works and desires. That is why they end up doing all wrong things. They get motivated. Oh, this business deal, I should, by hook or crook, I should make it manifest. And in that hook and crook problem only, all the entire, they, open the doors for a lot of troubles in their life. Then they cannot see themselves in the eye sometimes because of the things that they do for it. Krishna goes on, these are these ones who are free. Gata sangasya muktasya jnanavasthita chetasaha yajna yacharatah karma samagram praviliyate. Devoid of attachment, he is truly free and liberated. In a state of sacrifice, every action is consecrated. In the self, his heart and mind are immersed and involved, and all reactions arising from works are dissolved. So there's a great dvandva always in the heart and mind. People always, my heart says something, my mind says another thing. Whom should I listen to? Sometimes mind says one thing, heart says other thing, tongue says a third thing, and that person is perplexed, perennially confused because tongue is speaking absolutely different from what the heart and mind are speaking. There's no clarity of thought. There's no force in the words. Also, there's no force of spirit in that person's perspective as well. So instead, this when all three become one, Krishna says, when a person is free, he's truly free and liberated. And he's sacrificed. It's all right. He's given up. What can a person lose when he has nothing to lose? He's already, he says, like, Krishna Arpanam. Everything is now, I am not holding on to it. I've offered it. So he's having nothing to lose, so he cannot be disturbed. And his self, his heart and mind are immersed and involved. All the reactions that are coming out of works, during works, people get different experiences. And then sometimes people react out of it. That creates more trouble. Instead, they are not having these because they have removed that source. They are just quiet and balanced on the inside. They are free is what Krishna is saying. Next comes Brahmarpanam Brahmahavir Brahmagnau Brahmanahutam Brahmaiva Tena Gantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhina. It is to Brahma, the supreme truth, that all offerings are made, so that into the state of Brahma one can wade. The Brahman, the truth seeker, into Brahma's fire pours oblations, and his works reach the ultimate state of Brahman actions. So everything, it is all, or they have already seen Nityam Yajna Pratishtitam. It is Brahma has created the world in a state of sacrifice. Well, yes, sacrifice is the way, Tyaga is the way we can go ahead in life as well. But here Krishna is saying all offerings, wherever you offer, they're all going to that one place only. Brahmarpanam Brahmahavir Brahmagna, the Agni is also Brahma. And to that fire, whatever is poured, that seeker of Brahma also gets that. Everything is ultimately reaching one state of highest consciousness. One wonders what is Krishna's motivation right now, or motive behind all of this. Arjuna was all right. Arjuna was having some interest, and now Krishna is just speaking about highest and deep philosophy. He's talking about everything being part of some supreme Brahma only. All is merging into this infinite oneness. Krishna says further, he says, Daiva meva pare yajnam yoginaha paripasate brahmagna vapare yajnam yagne naivopa juhvati. Some seekers of a divine union make sacrifices only to the gods whom they prefer. But there are others who in the sacrifice partake into Brahma's fire. They offer solely for the sacrifice's sake. So there are different ways. Some people offer to the gods so that they get something in return, while some others, they say, no, Agneya Swaha, Agneya Idanna Mama. Prajapate Swaha, Prajapate Idanna Mama. Surya Swaha, it is for divine, not for me, not for me. I don't want anything. Everything belongs to the divine. That is how the yajna is done. That is one way. Others, they say, I need to get this much in return. I have to get this. And then that is where all the problems start. Kathopanishad also begins with that only. Nachiketas is his father. He is doing a great yajna and he is planning to get his more concerned about completing the yajna and receiving the fruits of that yajna. That because the yajna demands he should give cattle, he starts giving cattle, and these are old cattle which are not going to give milk. It is a difficult task to, us not, you should give a donation which is worthy also. But this is not right. And now young Nachiketas does not know how to tell his father he's already a great Rishi. He cannot go and tell him in his face you are doing wrong. So he goes to his father and he says, Father, whom will you give me? Whom will you give me in the yajna? First time he asks, his father ignores. He's busy in his activities. Then he asks the second time. And then again, Nachiketa's fathers get irritated. He gets like, I'll give you to Yama. Probably the oldest reference of a father shouting to the son and saying, go to hell. Something like that. He says, I'll give you to Yama. And that is where the Kathopanishad begins. So here, there is a sacrifice also must be done for the sake of a sacrifice. It must be done perfectly, not for the phala. If you are attached to the phala, you'll again have the different consequences also of that. Because this is the action reaction. You enter into the game, then you are bound by the rules of the game and you have to bear the consequences. Instead, what to become the sakshi, become the spectator, enjoy the game. You don't have to become a part of all the reactions that arise also. Krishna goes on further. There are different ways. We will stop at one more shloka. Shloka number 26. Shotradinindriyanyanye sayamagni shujjahvati shabdadin vishayananya indriyagni shujjahvati. Others consecrate their hearing, and other senses as a whole into the sacrificial fire of complete self-control. Some place the music of sound or the best objects they desire, thus offering their senses into the sacred sacrificial fire. Krishna says some others, they consecrate their hearing, they consecrate all the other senses into this complete sacrifice. For some place the music of sound or the best objects that they desire. Meaning there are different ways we will be looking at the different types of offerings which people do. For a musician, he understands music is everything. Nada Brahma, the music is the shortcut. So the person offers the best music to the divine as part of that person's yajna. Some people, they prefer to hear, I will hear only certain shastras, recitations, or I'll hear words, only selected words. I'll keep myself in an atmosphere where I will hear only these kind of auspicious words. It is then some others, I will have great dhamma, I'll have great self-control over myself. That is my way. So many ways people practice to get that higher state. They go in different ways. Some use music, some offer the best that they have. Thus offering their senses into this fire referring to not just the physical yajna also. There is another yajna which we are all performing in our life. Many of us are not conscious that we are performing that yajna. But that yajna is taking place, and in that yajna people offer in different ways. So probably Krishna is going to just share in different ways. What is the ultimate, which is the best, that we'll be able to see probably in the next session. With this, I'll conclude with the Shanti Mantra. Anybody wishes to ask something or share something, you are most welcome. Hari Om. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kasyid dukkha bhag bhavet. Hari Om Tat Sat. Krishna Mante Jagat Guru. Om Shanti Shanti. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Anybody wishes to share or ask something, you are most welcome. Or we'll conclude the session after that.
Can I?
Yes, sir. Ji.
This indifference towards your desire, that is good. Whether that will give us trupti.
Indifference to the desire, if we can, means you mean not feeling anything, is that what you are saying, Srinivasji?
Yeah, this you can say not getting attached to your desire. Desire is there, but you are not attached to it.
Yes,
Because
yes, yes. It's not having the attachment. Yes,
we should seek truth.
yes, yes, yes. Absolutely.
That is contentment.
Yes, yes, yes. And that can come only when you let go of attachments. That
Yeah,
is a consequence.
letting to let go the attachment and indifference, whether
There's
they are
a
the
thin
same.
line. There's a thin line. Actually, once one session, we will later on see it. 13th Adhyaya and other adhyayas become more practical. Krishna describes it further. So one situation, one person was saying she was a homemaker and she was very disappointed because her mother-in-law kept telling certain things about her and she was always disappointed about it. So in the class we were talking about detachment. So I just told her, see, you are feeling so sad, and it was a part of the discussion only. We did not specifically focus on her. But when she asked some question, we looked at it, and it's fine. It's like you don't have to give importance to everything that is said, which is bad about you. You be detached. Don't allow yourself to become disappointed. The very next day, she came back at me. She said this that because of you now, my mother is more annoyed. She didn't directly accuse me, but indirectly was saying the same thing. I couldn't. And I said, "What has happened? What did you do?" So you told me no, be detached. So I just put it. I don't care. And now my mother is saying earlier she was saying you're too emotional. Now she's saying you don't care if I'm alive or dead. She has gone to that statement. So I said, "What has happened?" No, I said, "You told me," so I stopped reacting. Now, she's become now. Yeah, human beings will have emotions. They're not going to become stones, or that is not. But there's a fine line. Means mamata should not be lost for a mother. The feeling of that connection must not be severed. But in that attachment, allowing the child to do wrong also, or look at Dhritarashtra, what is he doing? He is feeling it is love, but it is not love. It is the attachment that's causing the problem. It is the attachment that is ruining. So if he had real love, he would have actually, caught the ear of Duryodhana at the right time and, told all the Kaurans. So, but here he was having indifference, and this indifference was a problem. He was being indifferent. He was like, no, it's all right. One plus attachment plus indifference, don't both was there in him. One side of him was attached to Duryodhana. Somewhere he should become he is my child. He should be the ruler. That one part of him was holding. Other side was being indifferent. Because of his attachment, he was not able to see where is the right place, where he should have used. It was used in the wrong place. So this is actually a very important question. We have to always ask ourselves, and it is something which at each point we must look at ourselves and see where is this? Are we going in this direction or the other direction? But we cannot lose our sense of connection because adhyatma does not make a person dry. It makes a person more, fulfilled. People have that wrong conception that one must lose their sense of feeling. Actually, sensitive people only walk on the spiritual path. Only that oversensitivity is not required and insensitivity is also not required. They kind of a middle path. But best, this Vivek Buddhi works when our emotions are in control. Most decisions, if they are taken emotionally, they are going to be wrong. So the time has to come. You have to take a decision. You should just maybe even delay that decision by till your emotions disappear, or at least learn to tell your emotions, no, I have to take the decision right away. I'll forget my emotions. Emotions I'll keep elsewhere. Later on, I'll come and give the full atithi treatment to the emotions if required. If not able to overcome, but there's a line of difference between indifference and detachment. Krishna talks about mukta sangha as one, a very nice word in the Gita. Mukta sangha, free union. We are united and yet free. There's in relations also. Some of the best relations are where there's a united, there's a freedom also in the relationship, and yet there is a what we can say a great in that freedom the connection is not lost. Unity is still there. You're united and yet free. Something like that. Mukta Sangha, Asanga, these are all different words. Detachment is a different word in English, but we have a limitation of English language which we use now. So, yes, Ji. Yes, Srinivas Ji. Hari Om. Hari Om Ji. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om Vasudevan Ji. Hari Om Sunita Ji.